Real-world assets became one of the biggest narratives for the upcoming bull market. After Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, stated that tokenization is the next generation for markets. Tokenized assets is a market with immense potential, possibly reaching a few trillion, and that is why I'm starting a dedicated series to projects who are deeply connected to the real-world assets narrative, starting with LTO as the first one. We're going to dive deep into the project's tokenomics, real case usage, future development, history, side projects that they are building, basically tear it apart so we can get as much information as we can on this possible crypto gem. Before we begin, I have to say, I am not a financial advisor. You should not take anyone's words for granted, and you should always do your own research before investing in a project. LTO Network is a layer 1 hybrid blockchain with a public and a private layer to fill the gap between real world and digital ownership. With this hybrid approach, the LTO network has become the first blockchain that is data privacy and GDPR compliant, which is crucial as more and more regulations are yet to come to the crypto space. No one wants to be deemed a security and get chased by the next Gary Gensler. Founded in 2014 by Rick Schmitz, the current CEO, Martin Michelson, the current CFO, and Arnold Daniels, the current lead architect, the LTO network had nothing to do with blockchain technology at first and was also going by a different name, Legal Things. The new rebranded LTO network was launched in 2018, and since then it has processed more than 80 million transactions to secure data and sensitive information from businesses across the globe. Their main goal now is to tokenize up to $1 million worth of assets until the end of 2024. No wonder they started appearing as a real-world assets project in the most famous coin tracker websites. One of the things that make LTO so special is their Ownables feature for tokenizing and managing real-world assets on the blockchain, which was launched December last year. Think of Ownables as an updated version of NFTs. Images, media files, digital certificates, contracts, and even proof of ownership for real-world assets. Typically, NFTs store some kind of public information available for the owner on a centralized server. Ownables take this one step further by combining all the data, including smart contracts and even event chains, in a single place, in your wallet. They operate on LTO's private layer, which adds an additional security, and since there are no gas fees and no cost for the size of the contracts, smart contracts on the private layer may be larger and more complex than typical blockchain contracts. Once again, this shows us what are the advantages of having two separate layers, and to be fair, I can see more and more projects taking this hybrid approach in the future. In February, they attended the NFT Paris conference, showcasing Ownables to the NFT fans, the power of generating custom Ownables, and the connection to liquidity and even metaverses. A huge step into tokenization of assets. Another groundbreaking feature implemented by the LTO network is Proofi, a simple KYC or identity verification solution for DeFi. We've all been there, completing KYC for multiple websites, filling in our sensitive private data, which is usually not only a burden, but it's also risky as sometimes our private data leaks and some bad guys get hold of it. In simple terms, Proofi eases up users' lives by completing a one-time KYC on Proofi, which can then be used across the DeFi space without the need of doing it again. When a project you're interacting with needs a KYC, it asks Proofi if you meet the requirements to join, and the best part is Proofi answers with a simple yes or no, without sharing any of your personal information. Your data is kept private and you can be certain your personal information won't be leaked anywhere. That is done through a collaboration with Chainlink, the most time-tested and widely adopted decentralized Oracle network. Proofi is not only easing up our lives, but it also benefits the project, as they don't need to store any sensitive data and spend more money to comply with GDPR. Also, a lot of users tend to close the tab when a KYC has to be completed, meaning with Proofi, under the usual circumstances, projects should end up with more users than before. Before we get into the tokenomics, I would like to kindly remind you, if you like this type of content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want me to create such a video on another project, let me know down in the comments. Now, what about tokenomics? LTO has a market cap of just over $80 million, giving it a lot of space to grow in price. A fixed total supply of 500 million, of which more than 85% is circulating as of this moment. Raised around 4 million euro via private and public token sales from October 2017 to January 2019. The tokenomics model of LTO resembles the model of Solana. For each block, a certain amount of tokens are minted, with the amount decreasing over time. Minting is offset get by burning transaction fees. 50% of the fees are burned, the other 50% are given as mining rewards. 81 million LTO tokens were locked until 2021 for mergers and acquisitions. Now every month a small part of it is released until October 2025. Also, previously 50 million LTO were locked in a foundation wallet with no intention of using apart from voting if major decisions were to arise. The LTO team decided to burn these tokens, taking them out of circulation to further decentralize the token distribution and make sure the community has a louder voice in the direction of LTO network. Now that's the type of project I want to be a part of. Now, what about staking? Well, you can easily stake your tokens on the LTO network mainnet. It's a pretty straightforward process. You need to first create a wallet. Once you're done, copy your address from the top bar and use it to send tokens from exchanges to your wallet. Once your tokens have arrived, click on leasing and start a new lease. There's a bunch of nodes you can pick from. The difference between them is the time they pay the rewards. Some pay daily or weekly, others pay when a certain block threshold is reached. It's up to you. It is always best to pick some of the smaller nodes to improve decentralization. Every lease you start will cost you 1 LTO and cancelling it will also cost you the same amount. And the best part is your tokens never actually leave your wallet. The APR is determined by the amount of LTO stacked and the total reward for each block. It is currently around 8 to 9%. As for partnerships, we can see from their website there are projects from various niches onboarded already, heavily leveraging the power of their private layer. Trial, for example, is a company that is doing e-clinical trials. LTO Network is hosting it, making sure no trial data is ever changed and personal information is never shared. Another one is Lesa Casino. With LTO, they can allow casino players to transfer their winnings via stablecoin wallets using verified identity credentials. They are of course leveraging LTO's GDPR compliance and also adding steps to fighting anti-money laundering. The third one and probably the biggest partnership is with the United Nations and the Go Land Registry project. Their goal is to onboard various countries and maintain accurate ownership data of their land. Basically put the cadastre on the blockchain so landowners can easily show authenticity and propose a more accessible and transparent way of land ownership. Overall, the LTO network looks like a very promising project. It is being developed in many directions, but it still has a main one being real world assets. Ownables can be a huge step into real estate, where in the future you could hopefully buy a property without the need of checking it through legal advisors, because all the property's data is on the blockchain. When was it built? Was it ever rented? Was it ever sold to someone else? And all that data is immutable, tracking everything from the start. The hybrid approach is also giving them immense potential, and so far they are quite good at taking advantage of it, with features like Ownables and Proofi. Unlike many other projects, the LTO network so far is very transparent. The team is sharing regular financial, network and development reports, constant MIAs answering all kinds of questions, and even lets the community know the addresses where assets are being held. Already working with an official entity, the Dutch government, that is also a huge milestone they have already achieved, showcasing just how secure and compliant with regulations the LTO network is. While trying to revolutionize the real-world asset sector, LTO is also ready to be seamlessly integrated into already existing businesses, like the ones I mentioned, which is great for the entire ecosystem.